All right, so we are joined today by citizen journalists and activists CJ and Nick Cruse, who are also co-founders and longtime hosts of the Revolutionary Blackout Network on Rumble, YouTube, Rockfin, and elsewhere, and Do Dissidents, Hard Lens Media, and RBN do a sometimes show, the Post-Duopoly show. It used to be regular. Now we do it when it's relevant, when it comes up, when everybody can get together. How you doing, fellas?
What's poppin'?
What's up?
What's poppin'?
What's up, bro?
We got the Post-Duopoly show on the Jimmy Dore show, man. This is dope.
That's it.
Also, so I do want to shout out for everyone that don't know, Harlan's Media. YouTube has taken out Harlan's Media.
Yep.
They are part of our Post-Duopoly network. They're taking out people who are telling the truth. So we have to have massive, uncritical solidarity to Harlan's Media right now. Who knows when they're going to take us out? So
why?
Kid, just know we got your back. We got your back, kid.
Wait, why did they?
One day you're handing out pizza on Skid Row, the next day you're getting it.
Yeah.
You don't know what's going to happen here. So Hard Lens Media, definitely join them over on Rumble. Go on Hard Lens Media, subscribe to them. That's we were doing a show for over a year now, and it's just terrible what's happened to him. But he is still over there on Rumble. We're still making efforts on YouTube, right? Still making some efforts.
Yes. Yeah, he has like a backup channel, but of course it doesn't have, the traffic that the original channel.
Right.
Absolute solidarity to him.
Yep. So we were just talking about me and CJ finally met in person last week, but everybody forgot to take pictures. We went out. Jimmy Dore was very nice. He took us out to a club where he was playing and some other great comics, but we all forgot to take pictures. And I'm going to tell you something that's going to surprise you all. Me and CJ were about the same height, man. I was so relieved. I was so relieved because normally, look, man, when you're 5'5", normally when you meet people, it's that situation. You're like, hey, what's up,
I thought I was
man?
Be 6 feet. I'm not quite 6 feet, but yeah, I was shorter than Rome. So you don't want to meet Rome, man, because Rome is like 6'1" or something.
Oh, is it? Well, so's Keaton. No, that happened to me when I met Keaton, man. I had no idea Keaton was up there. I was like,
how tall is Keaton?
He's about that. He's about 6'1".
Oh.
Yeah, I know. You wouldn't think it, right? Because you don't know. You're just seeing everybody from shoulder.
I'm shorter. I can't believe they're that tall. I don't know.
Kurt, you're about what I would expect.
As much as I want to see pictures, look at you guys living in the moment. No phone, no camera. So even though you guys didn't get the picture, it's just good that you guys there living in the moment.
That was like old
moment.
school.
That's why we didn't get it.
Before everyone had to take a picture of everything. So I want to talk to you guys a little bit about your origin story. So, Nick, you started out on the Bernie campaign for real. Like almost everyone in this space passed through the Bernie campaign, but you quit your job for the Bernie campaign, right?
Yeah, back when I was young and dumb. I don't regret that at all because I spent that time radicalizing many people in my community. That's when it was a good time to spread awareness on stuff like war, like stuff like Medicare for All, like stuff like increasing wages of people and calling out the corrupt Democratic Party. The only thing I regret is misleading people into thinking that Bernie Sanders and their failure of a movement was going to fight for it. But it's extremely important for us to be in the movement and talking to people. That's why we still do mutual aid to this day. But I got started with the Bernie campaign because I was like, man, I saw Joe Biden as an option. I see the neocon Democratic Party. I'm like, bro, we got to take them out. Like, everything we see with Joe Biden right now is predictable. Do you guys know that in 2016, they said that Hillary Clinton was going to have a more muscular foreign policy than Barack Obama?
That phrase?
Like, what?
And they said it like a good thing.
The drone strike king? Like, how is that possible?
Muscular.
Apparently, that's a genocide. If you're more muscular than drone strike king, that would be a genocide. So what we've seen with Biden, what we will see with Hillary Clinton, it is crazy to see Bernie people fell in line with that. Still to this day, it still shocks me to see people support them. But to answer your question, y'all got started with the Bernie campaign. As a citizen journalist, like I always was a man of action, and at that time, I believed that movement, so I wanted to get involved and talk to people. And it's like that experience radicalized me in many ways, and it showed to me like the failure of the professional managerial class, Democrat adjacent activists, like the average Bernie Sanders Democrat. Like even me on the campaign, I'm seeing them praising Joe Biden. I'm seeing them calling good friend Joe. I was getting criticized for going after Elizabeth Warren, and that was planting the seeds that these people are frauds. And now RBN, and we had a show, post-duopoly. We were the post-duopoly left. So we started RBN, unlike many channels that got propped up because they were part of the Bernie wave. We got in post-Bernie Sanders as people was depressed. People didn't know what to do. Remember, we were like, we don't know what to do. People quit in politics because we had the option between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. So then we come up and introduce a concept that no one in independent media was ever talking about, mutual aid. We were the channel that unapologetically advocated for revolution, which scares people. I still get Jimmy props to this day because he was on our channel, one of the few people who advocated for revolution. Yeah. That's what he said. Meanwhile, you got people like Ola Yemi, Conscious Lee, and a bunch of sellout, pretend progressive PMCs that releasing videos about why we shouldn't have a revolution and why we should support a Democratic Party. So RBN, we paved the way. We are post-Bernie. You guys are part of it, the post-duopoly network. We want to establish mutual aid and a new way for the left to think. So I know I went long for there, so I'll pass it back to you, my brother.
Well, it's why I say there's kind of a third wave of commentators that are much more street level, much more working class, much less PMC. Because I think if that's where you're coming from, we didn't think of doing this because you just don't see yourself that way, right? If you're from the PMC class, you're used to being heard. So as soon as they saw, oh, there's a platform, well, of course, people need to hear what I think. The working people, we waited. And then after a while, I mean, speaking for myself, and you probably had a similar experience, I looked at these people and I said, these dumb motherfuckers have channels?
That's exactly what happened.
Me, I'm a Johnny Harris guy.
Exactly what happened.
Yep.
That's exactly. I'm a college dropout, and I reported on the Ukraine war correctly. Meanwhile, these people with master's degrees believe that Zelensky was fine for democracy. Like, I didn't think I could do this, but when I saw the clowns that was actually doing it, I'm like,
that's it. That's it. Why not
get the facts right?
Right. It turned from why me to why not me. This moron,
right? And
you got freaking Kyle Kulinski giving an opinion, and I can't get the fuck out of here, man. I'll start a channel.
That's actually how
so CJ, how'd you get into it?
Yeah, that's actually how I got involved. It was just the pandemic. Locked in. I didn't have anything to do. My background at the time was like video production, so I was actually on the set of a series that we was about to shoot. We was like on a day 3 of a shoot, and then got locked in. And then I did have a lot of personal things in my life that was like crashing down. So I just reached out to the Twitter community, and being already sort of political just in my thinking, I latched on to the people that were talking in the same way that I was talking. Nick was one of them. Rome was another one. Ryan Knight was another one. Some of the first sort of voices in this space. And then I just kind of, okay, this is where I want to be. And believe it or not, I started out with even identifying as a social democrat. And now I look back on those days, a couple of years, maybe 3 years ago, and I'm far from that now. But it came from a place of necessity. It felt like when I was locked in, when it was the pandemic and we were forced to stay in our homes, it felt like it was a necessity. It felt like no one else was speaking in the way that I would be able to hear it. So I wanted to get out and be that voice that a person like me would hear. And I just began making recorded videos. I used to dress all suited and booted. I used to be all, collared and tie and like that.
I remember the fly CJ days.
Yeah, so I used to dress like that, and I might take that. I might bring it back one day. But I
missed that. I missed that.
Gentleman CJ.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I didn't have that name at the time. Nick is actually the one who gave me the name, and I can fast forward to that story. We were meeting. We used to be called the Fred Hampton Leftists, and we were like, hey, kind of introducing each other. I was like, my name is James. And we had another James. He's like, I'm James too. He's like, okay, well, how about nicknames? Then I said, okay, I want to go by Jay. And then the other Jay was like, I go by Jay too. And then Nick was like, all right, you're Compton Jay, so CJ. And that's kind of how it happened. And and that's now it's history. But that's how we were brought together. It feels like it wasn't at all forced. It was like, this feels right. We literally just did a show, and then at the end of the show was like, it was either me or Nick, and I was like, this feels like this needs to be more than just this show. And we stopped at the end of the show and was like, we need to do something more with this, and that's sort of how it developed.
Well, and you know, I told you this the first time I came on your show, man. Your show reached me. That was one of the things that actually inspired me, seeing your show, which it's just amazing to be interviewing you here now, because I think we all were inspired by Jimmy too. And
this is crazy that we're here. This is crazy that when we were talking
does Jimmy
about this,
know who's on his show right now?
You know, the lockdown you mentioned, when that happened, that's, you know, it's basically everybody's being imprisoned. So you have a lot more time to look into shit.
That's exactly what happened, man.
Because you have all this time on your hands to do your own research like you're not supposed to.
How dare you?
That's what happened, Kurt. That's actually what happened. I started reading more. I had the time. I had the time to actually not just read a headline, not just look at Rachel Maddow. And forgive me for saying this, believe it or not, I used to watch Rachel Maddow religiously. That's how far I've come, just by simply knowing the topics, knowing the subjects more.
Right.
So yeah.
Well, you know my story, man. I came into 2015 supporting Hillary. I was a Clinton person.
Jesus Christ!
You didn't know that? I definitely mentioned that on Post to Opera.
He has.
I came in a Hillary supporter. Rachel Maddow. I literally said the words in my life. Rachel Maddow is the person I most want to have a beer with. I literally said those words. I literally said that. Man. That's the worst thing I can admit now. That's the worst thing I can admit. And now, years later, I'm getting dragged out of her event, screaming at her about why she won't stand up for the Muslims on the network.
And why won't you have that beer with me?
I don't think that beer is going to happen now.
Come see us do a live stand-up show. We'll be in Venice, California, Palmdale, California, Omaha, Des Moines, Milwaukee, Lansing, Bend, Oregon, Portland, Oregon, Seattle, Washington, Boston, Massachusetts, and we're going to Europe. Do you live in Europe? We're going to be there. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for all those tickets.